Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this very special webinar. My name is Bart Ziegler. I'm the president of the Samuel Lawrence Foundation. I'm thrilled to have you here for this very important conversation about climate change and your children's health and wellness. Here at the Samuel Lawrence Foundation, we're dedicated to creating a sustainable future for the next generation. Our First Friday webinars have served as a platform for us to hear from experts in various fields, particularly nuclear safety. While we remain eternally passionate about nuclear safety, children's health and environmental protections are interconnected issues, and it's crucial that we address them holistically. These are all pieces of a unified puzzle that move us closer to creating a more sustainable future for generations that will inherit the world after us. Today, we're honored to have with us two incredible guests making significant impacts in their fields. Nora LaTorre is the CEO and co-founder of Eat Real, which is an award-winning nonprofit focused on nourishing the future. Her organization transforms real food access for children through schools, leads in advocacy, and builds real food awareness. She is a distinguished speaker and an advisor at Tufts Nutrition Security Council, One Green Thing, Aspen Institute, Socrates Scholars Program. Let me see. Having a little computer glitch here, but what is a webinar without? Sonia is also equally impactful and pioneering. She is a author of books and also has been dealing with wellness and health in a very formidable way, which you can see on her TED Talk. Today, Nora and Sonia will explore the critical link between personal health and well-being, and how our food choices play a pivotal role in fighting climate change. I want to express my gratitude to Nora and Sonia for sharing their time and wisdom with us. Without further ado, I will turn the conversation over to Nora and Sonia. Thank you once again for being here, and I hope you find this webinar enlightening and inspiring. Nora.
Incredible, Bart. Thank you so much. You are a force for good in the world, and I'm so grateful for your leadership. Huge thanks to the Samuel Lawrence Foundation, to your incredible team we've been working closely with, for hosting this important conversation. I'm particularly excited to be here today because the reality is that our food system today is failing the health of our children and the health of our planet. And I'm especially happy to be here today with one of my favorite people of all time, Sonia Hunt, to discuss our role, to discuss the role our food system plays in our children's health and the planet health.
Hi, Nora. Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Nora, for having me. So grateful to be here and talking about something that is so near and dear to both Nora's and my heart, food systems, and really helping our children build a healthier and wonderful life for the future. So food systems absolutely have this dual role when it comes to health of people and health of the planet. So when we think about regarding human health, food systems are impacting our nutrition and our well-being, right, for individuals. But the environmental impact of those food systems affect the health of the planet. In case you didn't know, interesting statistic is that food systems account for about 21 to 37% of total human-caused greenhouse gas emissions. Right? And I know, Nora, this is something that you talk about in your TED Talk as well.
Yeah, in that talk, Eat Climate Change, actually, it just recently came out. I highlight how Project Drawdown Tool, which is one of the most reputable nonprofits out there on documenting how we can help regenerate our planet. It shows that the top two solutions to climate change are food solutions. It's waste less food and eat more plants. And so we know that our food system is the top 2 ways we can help heal the planet. And also it's our best chance at really healing our kids and healing our human health. To me, in Minnesota, where I'm from, we call it a twofer. If you improve the food system, it's a 2-for-1, because you can heal the planet and also you can help heal our health crisis. And so today we're actually witnessing something called American health collapse, where millennials and young people are on track to have shorter lifespans than their parents for the first time in US history. And the number one reason is processed food related diseases. So our food system is causing the number one decline in our health and the top diseases that are collapsing lifespan and health span. And so if we fix food, then we can help expand lifespan and health span, and we can regenerate our planet. And so that's why at Eat Real, the nonprofit that I lead, we're focused on reimagining our food system with children's health and planet health at the center.
Yeah, and I've been such a big advocate and fan of the work that Eat Real is doing. And so much around it is the fact, and we've talked about this before, there's no formal health and well-being literacy in this country, right? So starting that at a young age onward really can help to change some of these statistics that we have seen, which are really scary, especially over the last few years. So I've got some interesting statistics to share. So 93% of Americans are metabolically sick. We have 133 Americans who have chronic health conditions, which is more than 40% of the total population of the United States. 50 million Americans have one or more autoimmune diseases, and approximately 75% of those affected are women. 32 million plus people in the United States have food allergies, including 5.6 million children under the age of 18, which is an insane number. That's about 1 in 13 children, or roughly 2 in each classroom, with food allergies. And so the parents out there, I'm sure those numbers speak volumes. And I was one of those children as well all my life who had severe food allergies. And I wrote a best-selling book called Nut Job about my journey. And I cover this rise in diet-related disease and thoughts on why it's happening, but really about how we must become empowered around our food and our health beginning at a young age now. And Nora, I know, again, you know a lot about this, being the mom of 2 little ones.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I see firsthand in my own family how important it is to create those healthy habits early and to help them have access to the most nourishing food that helps their development and helps their immediate happiness. And I think we also know at the nonprofit that I lead, Eat Real, how important it is to help kids develop healthy habits earlier. We are founded by some of the leading doctors and pediatricians who wanted to get to the root cause of these challenges the top challenges facing society and this health collapse, and stop disease before it starts and get kids access to healthy food early on. And so, every day at Eat Real, we're focused on changing our food system to prevent and reverse these stats that you just mentioned and the state of our children's health. I think on a personal level, it's super shocking to me. And that's really when I started to get even more involved, was when I became a new mom. And now I have 2 little ones, and I got hyper concerned about how do I care for them and nourish them, and how do I help change our entire food system so every child has access to food that helps them thrive and helps our planet thrive. I think we both covered a lot of the statistics, especially the shocking one that only 7% of Americans are metabolically healthy, walking around feeling good. That's unacceptable. As one of the highest income countries in the world, to then have the worst health outcomes among high income countries is just unacceptable. And one thing that I've been thinking a lot about is not only the role that food plays in our metabolic, in our health and in our planet's health, but also in our mental health. Right now, the Surgeon General just said that we have a mental health crisis on our hands. He put out an alert, and they're talking a lot about the role of social media, but what's not being covered is actually the role of food in our mental health crisis facing our youth. 90% of our serotonin is made in our guts, and that's our happiness hormone. And so food plays a key role in our immediate levels of serotonin and in our kids' happiness. I think Also, as a mom, I'm hyper aware of the rise of ADHD. It's gone up 36% from 2003 to 2019. And I hear of so many moms who are concerned. And it was actually published that Western dietary patterns, our food system in the West, which for kids today is 67% ultra processed calories, is associated with ADHD. So I think it's just so under discussed. And again, why I'm so happy to be discussing this with you, Sonia, how the role our food system has in our health crisis facing our kids. Like, I don't think we realize how sick our kids are. And I think, especially with record heat this week, 2 days of record heat, and wildfires on the east, we are becoming more and more acutely aware of the concerns of our planet. But I'm hopeful that we can be, what we can talk about today is how not only do we have a planet health crisis, but we have a children's health crisis, and how food is the best way to tackle those interconnected crises. And I know you started to hint at your personal story in your childhood. Could you talk a little bit about how the food system impacted you personally?
Yeah, and I'm so grateful to be able to share my personal story, and I hope it inspires everybody out there that's dealing with food-related health issues. So when I was 3, I was diagnosed with severe food allergies, severe asthma, and severe environmental allergies, which I had my entire life until I overcame them. And my journey was over 18 times in the ER, in severe health related issues due to my allergies, emergent issues, over 100 times in the hospital due to non emergent issues. But I've also been on the ER table almost dead 4 times due to anaphylaxis due to my food allergies. And my family background is from India. My parents came in the 60s, and they actually didn't even know that people could be allergic to food, which is, why would you know that, I guess? So it was a difficult road to really figure out how to feed me when my siblings didn't have any of these issues. And I'm first generation American, so there was always this duality as well between health practices of Western and Eastern medicine, of food systems. My parents grew up very farm to table, farm to fork. And here, for the first time, when my mother went to a very large supermarket and saw everything prepackaged, it really was shocking to them to start to cook this way. So for decades, the protocol for me was don't eat foods that you're allergic to. And that sounds very easy, but as we all know, it's not, especially with the labeling, even today, not being anywhere close where it needs to be. So what we ended up doing was we eliminated all the things that I couldn't eat. But what I realized many years later was all of the things that I was eating, which were quote unquote safe foods, were very processed, were very unhealthy for my whole body health. And in 2008 was when I had my 4th anaphylaxis. And that was my most toxic anaphylaxis event. And it actually left me with 1 year of hives all over my body. So I have truly seen the gamut of what living with food allergies can do. And again, it was kind of this duality of eliminating foods that I wasn't allergic to, and things like cross-contamination were always in my world, right? So incidents would happen, but everything that I was consuming was processed and over-processed and not good for my whole body health. And you talked about mental health there. I mean, the food we eat affects our mental health. And so kind of coming back to, where we are today, I talked a little bit about there's no formal health and well-being literacy in this country. And that's the, extensive work that I'm doing right now with kids and with young adults that are entering college, because there's so many barriers, when they're on their own to figure out how do I eat healthy or how do I access healthier options, right? When they just don't know. And as you mentioned, the USDA research, really reinforces this, that affordability is the leading barrier to healthy eating among low-income Americans. So when we met, and a few years ago, and
like we've known each
yes,
other for a long time.
and we saw each other in person as well back then. And I learned about just, how powerful Eat Real's mission and message is, especially on one of the most important leverage points that we can make food accessible to affordable families, which is in our schools, right? And that you guys are teaching kids about eating real food at young age onwards. This is exactly, the kind of work and help from everybody, right? Helping Eat Real that we really need, because I do believe that we absolutely can make these individual changes. I always say small changes, for big transformation. And that's why I've been, a lifelong fan, because we have to get together to make these systemic changes, or there's really no healthy future, right, for our children. So I did want to talk a little bit about just Eat Real's model and your solutions, and how you're thinking about scaling the model that you have, right, throughout all the schools, so all kids have access to this healthy food and healthy life, really.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your personal motivation. And it's like just incredible to me that you've fully healed yourself from allergies, and that you've done it through sharing your story. I feel like you came back from the dead multiple times, and now you're here. And I'm just grateful for your advocacy and you sharing your voice. I think thinking about, and I'm also, you've been a strategic advisor to our organization and helping us really intentionally scale. And so just in terms of Eat Real, so we are a children's health nonprofit and a climate change nonprofit that goes upstream and starts to be proactive. And so we have kind of a three-prong approach. We change real food access, we raise real food awareness, and we do real food advocacy and policy change at the national and state level. And so in terms of our real food access, that's the heart and soul of our program. We change our food system through what is the largest fast food restaurant chain in America, which is not what people think Arches. It's actually, it's our public schools. So our public schools are the largest fast food restaurant chain in America. They're bigger than Starbucks, McDonald's, and Subway combined. And they serve 7 billion meals a year. And it's where kids get 30 to 100% of their calories. So our theory of change is if we can change food, our theory of change is if you can change the food system, then it can help. It's the best chance at healing climate change and healing our children's health crisis. And within the food system, if you're going to focus on food because it's the top solution to the top two problems facing society, then you're going to look at the largest leverage point. And we think the largest leverage point is our school food system. And so then we focus on the school food system. And since you and I met, we went from 50 schools to over 500 schools. We have thousands of schools on our wait list. We're impacting hundreds of millions of meals. There are 7 billion meals that go through school. So we have a lot more to impact. But we've shown firsthand that you can radically transform our food system quickly. And it can be community driven, where these community food leaders, the food service directors, they are the heroes in our story. They're the food buyers at schools, come together with parents and students, and they take the food system into their hands and into their control, and they overhaul it. So we do things like we remove 10 to 15 pounds of sugar per student per year, which has to do with gut health and mental health and brain development. We know that it can, that impacts brain development. We remove harmful toxic ingredients. We remove over processing, reduce the processing levels. We add in more scratch cooking. We add in plant powered options, minimally processed plant powered options, because kids want climate options on their menu, climate smart options. Actually, one of our schools developed what it was called. It was called Planet Cuisine, and they labeled it all of that on the menu. And so in San Luis Coastal, they have like a Thai lentil basil burger. And so just think, but like delicious and healthier for the kids and healthier for the planet. We added in grass-fed options, no nitrates. We helped add in more salad bars, reduce food waste at scale, add in recycling. Like we really help communities and stand next to them and understanding what are the top ways they're really rocking it, and then what are their top opportunities. And then over a multi-year partnership process, we help them totally transform their menus and create that food access. And so now what we've been doing is then trying to raise awareness around that, and then taking it to the hill and saying, we know that kids want better food and families want better food, and that it should be made accessible, because like you said, Sonia, it's the number one barrier to kids eating healthier and eating climate smart and nutrient dense food. And so affordability. And so an access point to have affordability and food access is our schools. And so we've seen, and we go to the hill and we say, it works and it's happening and families want it and they deserve it. And let's scale this. And so we've been making a lot of traction, and it's really exciting. And we have a lot more to do. So I feel like we have been, scaling rapidly, but we still have so much to do. And so we're excited about the 10x growth that we've seen in the last few years, but we want to do so much more.
And I think one of the interesting things that you just talked about is, from a younger age onward, because again, we don't have this literacy, people are taking it upon themselves, right, to become literate around their food, around their health and well-being. And I see, the education portion of what you're doing as being part of that literacy, right? And it's a similar, world to where I am, is helping people understand what they're putting into their body, understanding bodies as a system and the reactions, right, that are happening of processed food versus fresh food. And so I think it's really interesting that you have younger people, kiddos, starting to become really empowered to ask for these options now, right? Yeah, because I'm sure you're starting to get that because they're becoming a more informed user at a young age.
Yeah, we see that left and right. We actually just had a school district join our program, and they said we're most interested in being able to provide climate smart options for our kids and reduce food waste and increase recycling, because we know our customers, who are the most important customers on the planet, kids at their restaurant, at schools, kids, the customers, they want it. And they're asking to have those options and to have those choices. So I'm really hopeful because of the next generation, and because they are changing consumer demand and they are asking for better for them and better for the planet options.
Yeah, and all of this, kind of tied into, all eyes needing to be on the Farm Bill, right? So that piece of legislation, the package that's passed roughly every 5 years, right, which has a large impact on farming livelihoods, how our food is grown, and what kinds of food are grown in the U.S. as well. So how is your mission at Eat Real looking to kind of change the meals in schools tie into, what's happening with the Farm Bill?
Yeah, and in my talk, I talk about exactly that. All eyes do need to be on the Farm Bill. When we think about our advocacy work, we think about raising the bar for food in schools, more investment in school meals, just higher standards and more support for that food leverage point. Another key leverage point that we look at is the Farm Bill. And it's exactly what you said. And it really determines what crops are grown, what's subsidized, and what is made then available to low income families and communities, and what is kind of pumped through our food system. And so today, what's largely subsidized are like corn, wheat, soy, sugar, which go into animal feed, export, and ultra processed food ingredients. And what we ask is, what would it be like if we subsidize fruits and vegetables, organic food, regenerative organic food? And how would that change what's farmed in America? It would change what the quality of the soil, the nutrient density of our food. It would change what farmers are motivated to grow. It would make the farmers, who are the backbone of America, more invested in. And so we really believe in a transformative, innovative Farm Bill. And so we're in multiple coalitions coming together with other nonprofits to raise our voice in unison. We're briefing top decision makers. We think that the Farm Bill, other than working in schools, is one of the most important pieces of legislation and opportunities to make change in America. And we may be on a 5 or 10-year horizon, and it is super critical. And so we're really hopeful about the work there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I know that Eat Real is raising fundraising right now, and you're looking to raise 8 million to build a healthier future, and that would be to shift $1 billion of school food purchasing power, which is incredible. So how can like everybody on this call get involved, right? And I know that there's so much when we talk about food and health and how they tie together in terms of whole body health. There's just so much that we can do. But how do we, just again, those small steps for big transformation, how can everybody get involved to help you, on this incredibly important mission?
Thank you. And thank you for being just, asking that question. And I know you've gotten involved personally. You volunteer, you raise your voice for Eat Real, you fundraise for us, you're out there, and, guiding us and helping get resources to our nonprofit. So thank you, Sonia, for that. There are a few key reasons why Eat Real's work is so urgent. Number one, front and center for a lot of people right now, and I know people on this webinar, climate change is getting worse. It's also becoming personal for everyone. And our kids are suffering too, and we're seeing American health collapse. Our kids' health is measurably getting worse. With the wildfires on the East Coast and the world record heat, like this is so urgent and so important, this work and this conversation. So again, huge thanks to Samuel Lawrence for hosting us on this. I think also with our kids getting sicker, people are starting to wake up to that. And the White House just had a White House Hunger, Nutrition, and Health Conference and was an advisor to that. And it's really exciting because they said by 2030, we want to end hunger and end diet-related disease. But since that conference last fall, it's actually gone in the wrong direction. And so our health is actually getting worse. And so we have these bold goals as a nation, but we need to do a lot more and bet on some underdog nonprofits that can really do things differently, because what has been done in the past is failing our kids. And we need to think differently and think boldly. And that's what Eat Real is about. We know that cancers in children, certain specific cancers in children, diabetes, obesity are all on the rise in children. Our kids are measurably, their health is getting worse. And as we talked about at length today, it's just our food system is our greatest hope I'm sorry, I'm going to cry, but I believe it with every part of me that our food system is our greatest hope for the top issues of our time. And Eat Real has a proven model that can transform the food system and a special playbook and approach for creating health for children on our planet. So we need people to get involved today. They can give and become a monthly sustaining donor. They can talk to us about themselves or friends that they know or foundations that they know that can make transformative gifts to help us raise that $8 million so we can shift $1 billion of school food purchasing by 2025 and do a whole lot more too. And they can sign up for our newsletter on eatreal.org. And they can join us on social media. So we're at Eat Real Certified on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn and active there. People can join with me. They can join on Instagram. Eat Real Certified will be on Threads which soon. So, we just really hope people will give today. We hope that they'll volunteer and advocate and connect us to other people who can support us. And we hope that they'll join the conversation.
Yeah. And I will say, again, just in being very grateful to have me share my own story around this, it was always a love-hate relationship with food because of what it did to my body system. But at the end of the day, I did eliminate all of my severe food allergies. And one of the biggest levers to do that was learning how to eat real food, right?
Yes.
And being, even 80 to 90% on the outside of the supermarket, right? Not even within the aisles.
Yes.
So
Shop
it's again,
perimeter.
Right. Shop from the perimeter. And these are the kinds of concepts, right, that I believe that if we can teach kids from a young age onward
Yeah.
and make it fun, right,
Yeah.
and show them how to bring like these beautiful flavors together in starting to even cook at a young age, becomes really fun for them, and they start to understand more about their health. And that journey for me, I had to kind of keep going through over and over and over. And there's so many realizations, right, about, oh, I thought I was eating healthy food, but it was actually just over processed.
Yeah.
So it really does kind of, you have to really spend time to dig deep to understand what's in the food, and in particular, before you can understand what's happening in your system. And I think, again, like this is exactly what I do in my work, is helping everybody start from that place of understanding their bodies as a system, understanding the food that they're putting into it. It's almost like the eat this, not that kind of
Yeah.
methodology. Yeah, for
Yeah, I think it's
kids.
like, yeah, how do we help kids and families become more alive and feel more energetic and more vibrant and happier, and doing that through food. I think, having people that are listening today talk to their school food service director, their nutrition director, and say, hey, Eat Real is an option and they could support our school district, and should we look at having Eat Real support us? That's one way. But I love these hacks that you just shared of, like, at a personal level, some fun things. I totally agree on shop the perimeter, and bring the kids, bring them the shopping cart, like have them come and have them make their own list in advance, or
Yeah.
have them have their bag. I just got, that was the most Minnesotan thing I say, bag. Have them bring their bag, and fill it with their things. I think also we talk about helping kids build kitchen confidence. My 2-year-old with a pretty dull knife chops their strawberries for special Saturday buckwheat pancakes. Like, they have them chop. I think my daughter loves coming to local farmers market, and in a lot of places they started double bucks programs where if you're actually on staff, then you can get two, for every dollar you can actually get $2 worth of vegetables. So we're seeing a lot in farmers markets of SNAP dollars being used, but so anybody can go to farmers markets, and it's starting, even more, being even more accessible. But bring the kids. And my daughter, her favorite color is purple right now, and she buys all the purple cabbage, all the purple lettuce, all the purple radishes, and the girl will eat it, all of it. And like, it takes 15 times of exposure for a kid to expand their palate. So sometimes also then I throw in some other colors and I'm like, just one bite, just try one bite. But bringing them to the farmers market and then having them get involved, it's been shown that family meals together help increase vegetable intake. And kids today, only 7% of kids eat the daily recommended amount of vegetables. So our kids just aren't getting enough vitamins and nutrients to help them support their development. And so around the table, having just conversation. And I know people are really busy and it's really hard, but even once a week, having that family meal together, getting the kids involved in the chopping and the measuring, which can be math and science, and then sitting down at the table together, that can be really powerful. So I love what you said of, like, make it fun, turn on the music, like let them DJ, have a fun game afterwards. Like, my daughter just learned Uno. So like, we're also after dinner playing Uno at the table, and make the table a really fun centerpiece in the house. I think it's so important. So I think people can think about, what can I do structurally, like raising awareness and doing advocacy and helping your local school, but then also at home, doing what you can when you can is really key.
Yeah,
And that's
no, I love what you're saying, because if you can start it within and at home, then when you go into your school and you see that difference, which is so
yeah,
shocking, that's when the advocation is going to begin to start changing those systems as well. But if that's all you know, it's also very hard, right?
yeah.
So, yeah. So I think if you
You start
can
to feel the
start,
difference.
right, you
When I
have to
personally
feel.
texture, and also when I, know the farmers behind my food, it feels different. I'm more grateful. I'm more connected. I know the local farmer. I know that they have certain practices like organic, etc. So it does make a difference in your overall experience and how you feel immediately and long term.
Immediately. Yes, across the whole body, right? Your body, mind, spirit, and your emotions. Yeah, your whole body health. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with that, maybe we can see it. I have some incredible people here with us today, and see if anyone else has any questions or thoughts that came up. Here's a question. I'll read it. How do we educate and reach more parents, educators, and school administrators that schools are the largest fast food system in our society? Ooh, great question. Shout it from the rooftops. Like, let everyone know. Tell everyone. Share that fun fact at the next barbecue that you're at, on the next walk you go on with a friend. Like, shout it to the rooftop. use social media. Like, think of yourselves as Eat Real advocates, like tag us at Eat Real Certified, share it. Like, that knowledge is yours to share now. So please share it. Let people know the power. It's not, school food can be delicious, and also keeping it positive. Like, it is, my favorite meals are in schools. It can be delicious. It can be sustainable. It can be the best restaurant in town. Letting people know that today it is the largest fast food restaurant chain, especially in terms of volume, but it can be and should be the best restaurant in our nation. And so sharing it broadly, one-on-one, in your family, talking about it at dinner, and then sharing it on social media, and then getting involved in our nonprofit, sign up for our newsletter. There'll be calls to action so that you can help, as we do campaigns, we'll ask you to reshare, we'll ask you to raise your voice for advocacy, etc. Sonia, what would you add to that question around how do we educate and reach more parents? Oh yeah, I didn't know if it was just me. Perfectly.
There we go. Sorry.
Perfect.
So I was going to say that one of the greatest places to also have this discussion is at the PTA meetings, right? So to actually bring this subject up of like what's being served at the food, how can it be better? And if you do start to even do this at home, you can talk about the changes that you've seen, right? And which are for sure going to be things that people are interested in incorporating into their own lives. So I think that's another, area that I would add. In addition to everything Nora's saying, just really becoming an advocate for the food you eat and your own health, and planetary health is the biggest, step. I think if everyone can make that small step to just start having these conversations in as many places as you can be, whether it's your schools or with friends or at restaurants, or PTA meetings. It's really just kind of not being afraid anymore to really talk about how important this is.
Great. Okay, another question. How will changing our food system in school and beyond affect climate change? Yes, in so many ways and pretty quickly, which is exciting. Like I said, the Project Drawdown says that the top 2 ways to mitigate climate change, regenerate our planet, and to draw down carbon are food solutions: waste less food and eat more plants. And so if you do that, help schools cut waste and cut and add in more plants, like just add in more, right? More plant-based options, more salad bars, more vegetables, etc. That is doing those top 2 solutions at the largest scale possible in our nation. And so it's been scientifically measured that if we can do those 2 things, that's the best way that we can draw down carbon. Also, really interestingly, the Rodale Institute, which I'm a big fan of, they have said that the solution to climate change that is within that our soil, and so our soil can draw down carbon. And so when you change food, you change what's being grown in the soil and how it's being grown, regenerative, organic, etc. Then you're going to be able to have it be drawing down more carbon. And so that is huge. So I think our solutions, the top solutions to climate change, are literally underneath our feet. They're in the soil, they're in how our food is grown, and they're in what we do with food and not wasting it as well. Since 40% of food today is wasted, that's inefficient and unnecessary and not good for the planet. And so schools can buy seconds or stuff or food that was about to be lost at the farm level. They can take food that, ugly produce or food that was about to be just under and process it. They can also reduce food waste at the cafeteria, etc. So that is a little bit more on how it can affect climate change. I also, NOAA just announced that last year, over extreme weather, et cetera, it costs over $165 billion for the United States. Like, climate change is becoming a very expensive problem for the United States. And so I would just want to say, this underscores why it's so urgent and connected, human health and planet health. Bart and I spoke when we met in San Diego a lot about how not only is our broken food system or our inefficient, unhealthy food system not working for climate, it's not working for our health either. Today we spend over $3 trillion, a huge percentage of our GDP. We spend on healthcare, which is mostly sick care to treat processed food related diseases. So if we gave access to people to real food, they wouldn't develop those same diseases and it wouldn't be costing the country so much money. So we talked about how changing to real food is beneficial for the planet just now. We talked about how it helps heal disease, and it also helps with economic issues as well in reducing these extreme costs to our government.
Yeah, and two little hacks again with that. And I love about the food waste. I mean, it is such a big, big, big problem. And let me see if I'm going to word this correctly. So, buy what you know that you will eat
Mm.
rather than what you think you will, right? Because we're tending to overbuy and then we don't finish it. And then we think it's, gone bad because of the expiration, which is a whole other long subject.
Yeah.
So we end up having a ton of food waste. So like when you're purchasing, actually purchase things that you know you will eat and you will finish. The other side of it is going back to, and we talked about this earlier, your local farmers market, right? Think about when you're buying products that takes planes, trains, and automobiles and all the carbon emissions right out there to get to you. So if you happen to have a farmers market that is close by you, not even everything has to be organic, but just reducing all those carbon emissions. We talked about that statistic about food systems account for about 21 to 40%, right, of total human greenhouse gas emissions. So just by doing that step, those two steps, you'll reduce food waste and you'll also help, with the emissions issue that we're dealing with.
Yeah, I love these personal hacks too. We around our house my husband does a search and rescue meal too, where we're just like, if anything's about to go bad, like we make a meal out of that, and he's really good at that. He's captain of that, so that's also some way like know where you're buying it. And then this idea of food miles is really key, and there's more and more research out about how that does impact things. And we actually are grantees of the California Department of Food and Ag, which is very invested in the first partner, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, and Senator Skinner and Kat Taylor office and whatnot have been advocating for more farm to school in California, reducing those food miles and making things more local. And our standards really help re-regionalize the food system. And some of our schools now will have a map. They'll have their school and then they'll have all of their local farmers, and we increase it, 20, 40, 50% to be more local farmers. Ooh, what additional progress will help the Farm Bill? Yeah, get involved. We need people to get involved. So sign up for our newsletter. We're going to be activating you. That will help big time. There are some good documentaries we'll be sharing. We're updating our website next month, so we'll be sharing more resources. I think getting people signing up for our newsletter, getting involved in our nonprofit, but also like then sharing broadly about the Farm Bill will be huge. Also that, do some research on yourself, get out Google and go and look up how the money is being spent today. Like it is transparently out there. So get curious and do some research and ask ChatGPT about the Farm Bill. You know what I'm saying? Like just get knowledgeable about the Farm Bill and get involved and get curious and start talking about it. And that will help if everybody realizes the importance and starts getting curious about it and finds organizations like ours and maybe a few organizations that you think are have a good chance at making progress. Back them, get involved, and see yourselves as a Farm Bill champion. What would you add, Sonia?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was perfect. I think possibly many people don't even know what a farm bill is or that we have one, right? So think about, again, it's really about like what we're growing and how we're growing it. And you have the power to affect that. So I think exactly what Nora said is like, get curious, take some time to educate yourself on it. And through the newsletter and the campaigns that you're going to see through Eat Real, you can actually get involved with your thoughts, your opinion, donations. There's so many different ways to give, but that first step is really just understanding that there is legislation around this, and then what does it actually mean, and then hopefully that is very important to you because it affects everything that we're talking about with kids and having a healthier future with the food that they're consuming. So then you can kind of really get involved in different ways that you want to. So yeah.
Now I'm curious what ChatGPT says about the Farm Bill, and I might need to go educate ChatGPT. I'm like, wait, I haven't actually checked that. Don't do that. You need to train. Okay. What is your prognosis for the future?
Dun, dun, dun.
I am such an optimist, and I believe in us. So I know leaders like you are just tireless in this work, Sonia and Bart, and the entire Samuel Lawrence Foundation. And so I'm hopeful. I'm determined. So I think my prognosis is that we can together nourish the future if we all come together and if we work hard and we raise our voices together and collaborate. And so I am hopeful and I am confident.
Yeah. And I as well, my journey was a very, very long journey to get to where I am today, having dealt with this my entire life. And now I can happily say I'm thriving. And, that is something that I absolutely want to see for every single person on the planet. So I am very hopeful because I always say, if I could do it, you can too. And anybody who doesn't give you that hope, I'm here giving you that hope today. So really give yourself permission to learn and be curious and to learn about your food and eat healthy and want to see systemic change and how things have been being done to where we really, dream a little bit. Think about what's that future you want to see. And I believe that every single person, as Nora said, coming together can absolutely, make that happen. And it does take, though, organizations like Eat Real being around to really push, bring us all together and kind of, push us forward. And that's why I've always been, such a big advocate for the work that they're doing, and especially, kind of starting at that young age onward. Is so important.
This has been really a wonderful opportunity. And the one thing that I forgot to mention, Sonia, is you're with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals group. And so I want to focus back across to a larger macro vision of the United States, because I do have some people online from Alabama community we serve. That's a food desert that doesn't have a bodega within 16 country miles of their village or their town, their city, small city. So my question is, these people don't even have access to what we think of in California as normal, because this is being broadcast from California. So the question is, really, what is the farm bill for all of us who really want to know? What's the farm bill and how is it going to affect a lot of the food deserts in America?
And Nora, do you want to talk about how Eat Real is kind of helping with that? And then I can jump in.
Yeah, I think that it is a big challenge of how do we make sure every community has access to nutrient dense, climate smart food. The USDA is making progress on investing in that as well. I just want to say we're actually USDA subgrantees to work in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas in the Delta, which when you look at processed food related diseases in America, access to food, as you're discussing, is one of the continuously disproportionately impacted communities in America. And so we're working there and we are seeing progress happen. And so the Farm Bill is one piece of it, but also in making community change, like with organizations like eReal, it is possible. We were just on a call with a school in Arkansas that's sourcing from much more. They figured out what agriculture is actually being trucked out that they could actually keep in the community that then they can sell through the school. So it's about exploring what is accessible and then working with the farmers. And now some of the farmers are growing, especially for schools. And so it is possible at a local level, even where places have historically had limited access. So communities can make the change. And then the Farm Bill really determines what subsidies go out and then what crops farmers are motivated to grow. And so if they're more motivated to grow healthier foods, then they will, financially based on economics. And then additionally, the Farm Bill subsidizes SNAP, or historically called food stamps. And so that also determines what people have access to in SNAP. And today in SNAP, the number one redeem item is soda, which is corn syrup solid and not helping with planet health or human health. And so by looking at the Farm Bill closely and changing some of the policies and making vegetables and fruit and regenerative products more subsidized, that instead of subsidizing junk, like subsidize healthy real food, we can change what is available at those bodegas that you mentioned.
Yeah, and so
That's
totally agree with everything Nora's saying, and especially with like, it will take time, but there's small progress, right? Again, being made. And I think one of the thing, like tying this back again, is that when you yourself start to advocate for this being a must, eat real, right, food, real food being a must, we're going to start to get those communities together to see more local farming, to see more of the food that we need that is healthier for our bodies in our areas. And especially as, again, companies like Eat Real start to take their mission all across the US, right? Like everybody on this call can get involved to really bring them even into their school system, right? So it's these kinds of changes, but just by first getting really curious and informed about like what that food is that you're consuming and where does it come from, to bring kind of, things like this into those food desert areas. I mean, I think it will take time, but all of these are wonderful steps that then lead to, right, small steps that lead to big transformation.
And it happens slowly and then it happens really quickly. So,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm hopeful.
So there's the climate change is 10 or 12 years away. We really have a lot of immediate concerns. You have a lot to do on your table, on your kitchen table. The question is, where's the best focus for people? Should they be working on curricula for the students? Should they be working for? Should they be aware of legislative policy changes? I mean, we can't do everything all at once, but how do you two see policy changes versus getting to the ground and working with parents and children, and curriculum changes for the students, maybe?
Yeah, I asked this question to a lot of top leaders, like, what will really be the acceleration point? And is it more top-down policy change or is it more community-driven grassroots change? And they consistently tell me when I ask them a similar quiz part is both. Like, we need to be working on both. And I think what we need from people is to bring their experience and their passions, like, so their superpowers in other words, to this movement. And so if they're really good at curriculum, help us work on that and partner with other nonprofits that work on curriculum, et cetera. If they're expert at awareness building and they have a voice on social media, use it. If they have financial capacity, whether that's $5 a month or $5 million a month, that's a dream. Help us scale this organization and this work. So I think everybody has different superpowers. So we need people to bring their expertise and their passion to this work and get involved.
Yeah. And I would just add that, again, I think that work starts from within to really kind of almost take a checklist of like what's even going on your table, right?
Yeah.
And when you start to, really become, do some research and become educated around that, and then you start to see these differences in what's happening that's improving your own health at home, and then what's happening in the school systems, right? And how we are not, but yet, by the food that we have in the school systems today, that is one form of like health literacy, which is not the health literacy that we want, right?
Right.
So when you start kind of doing this for yourself in the home and you start seeing those beautiful changes and improvements in health, now you can start to build outward and build that community, and really get involved, right, in helping an organization like Eat Real to scale their mission and their vision.
I love that. How am I moving my life, my personal lifestyle to real food? How am I transforming my family and moving my family towards real food? And then how do I transform my community and my nation towards more real food? I think that I love that framework, Sonia.
I'll put in a little pitch for a small organization that called Barrio Botany that
cool.
we've been supporting for a while, and it's a tireless advocate. As you two are energized and focused and productive, she's taken one school and now she has 10 inner city schools, and they're growing their own crops, and they have kids fighting over fried kale. So it's a really kind of a two-pronged approach.
Yeah. Find your local nonprofit. Have just like we have people have portfolios of investment, have portfolios of the nonprofits and the causes that you care about, and get involved. I love that. I love that example too. And it takes all of us.
Yeah.
We partner with garden nonprofits. We partner with curriculum nonprofits. We partner with we have a huge collaborative ecosystem of nonprofits that we partner with. And so I think other nonprofits doing that and then individuals doing that is so key.
I think the most important thing that we have here, and I'll close it out because it's we're 2 minutes or 1 minute till the hour. And unless there's anything you'd like to add, is there anything that has some final words of wisdom for us, Sonia or Nora?
Just tremendous.
The passion you bring.
And to the entire Samuel Lawrence Foundation team, thank you for making space and time and for your dedication.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree.
Fighting climate change with a fork is that's got to be a bumper sticker we need to put on everyone's car.
I got one. I promise you that would happen. Like, that would be my closing statement. You and your fork are the most powerful weapons against climate change. I promise you, I would have the fork.
And
I have a fork.
No knives needed.
No.
And so this is really a negation discussion, and I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Nora Latorre. Thank you very much, and Sonia Hunt. Really been a pleasure to meet you. Your expertise, your dedication, your innovation, your commitment is just undoubtedly a lasting impact on everyone who's watched this call. I think we see how important is diet and nutrition to the climate change crisis. I would also like to recognize utterly tremendous efforts put forth by our organizing team. They are tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure this webinar runs smoothly. We are still working out the little challenges, but their dedication of all the people I work with is just phenomenal. Pili Aloha Fali, Grace, Jill, Madeline, Adam. Lastly, I want to express my gratitude to our sponsors and partners whose support and generosity makes all of our events a reality. The sponsors for Eat Real, the sponsors for every nonprofit that really needs at this time support. The belief in a collective mission and vision allow us to deliver this crucial information to individuals and organizations across the country. So on behalf of the Samuel Lawrence Foundation, thank you. We look forward to welcoming you to another First Friday series in the future. Get in touch with us through our website, our social media, and we can continue this conversation about how food choices play a pivotal role in fighting climate change and creating a more sustainable future for those who come after us. And with that, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.